Alrighty, Tom's back at it again with another greasy video. What I have here is about a 13-foot driven sandpoint well. This probably was only 10 foot in the ground. We got a really high water table at this site, and the water is very good, very clean. Basically nothing in it. It's like a pure filtered rainwater. The soil down here is very sandy, and yeah, groundwater here is nice, but that's irrelevant right now. This sandpoint was behind a historic house. It's not a historic well. It's, as you can see right there, there's stainless, old stainless. So this is probably from the 70s. So it's only about a 50-year-old pipe. And it was totally plugged up, didn't work. And when I pulled it up out of the ground, I just took a pipe wrench, stuck it on the side, and stuck a floor jack under it, or actually a farm jack, and then just lifted it out of the ground. I tried a floor jack and that didn't work, but the farm jack worked perfectly. Didn't take too much effort, only had to pull it about yay far out of the ground before it just right up out. But anyway, I just got these two pipe wrenches on it, and I just kicked it about 50 times before it finally broke, but it's well and thoroughly turning now. It's just gonna take forever. And I want this sandpoint because these things are like 50 bucks, and if I can save 50 bucks, I'll save 50 bucks. I don't think I can reuse the pipe because it's all bent to hell. Might be able to save that little 6-foot section right there. We'll see. I think that's thoroughly corroded. I believe this was galvanized. At least top was. Bottom might have been black iron. But anywho, this guy is totally plugged. I filled this entire thing up with water and leaned it up against a tree, and there was like a tiny trickle coming out through this screen, so it's just full of crap. And I'm going to make a concerted effort to clean this as best as I can and see if I can get it back to working order. And then if I can do that, I may just use it myself. I'm not going to show you that because probably not going to do that for another year. But anyway, I'm going to take you along for the ride to see if I can reactivate this sandpoint. Because I figure if you're watching this video, you're probably got an old sandpoint you'd like to reactivate. So come along for the ride. We're going to try a bunch of solvents and stuff, pressurization, backflow if possible. We shall see. So catch you on the flip side, I guess. All right, there she is. Wasn't too much thread on there, luckily. Let's see how she looks in there. Oh yeah, that's what we call right fucked. And I hear some chunks in there too. Ooh yeah. Ooh, that might have been most of it. Ooh, I just plugged it. Ooh, stand by. Alright, let's try that again. I couldn't shake anything out of this the last time. I just kept filling it with water. But I think because it's been sitting out in the air for a month or so, it's, you know, had a chance to oxidize everything because it's been down in the anoxic layer. So, we're having a whole crap ton of smuts just, ugh. Look at that. Well, that was probably most of the problem. Yeah, that's just clay and black iron there. This may be easier than I thought. Alright, well, I filled her up with water. She's sitting right there. And I'm just gonna stick her in the corner of this shipping container and let her sit all day while I'm out here and come back, see if that water level's gone down at all. If it has, good. If it hasn't, shit. But we're gonna keep going down this rabbit hole till we hit the bottom. Alright, it's 5 o'clock now, so it's been, what, probably 6 hours? 6 hours, probably. And it has gone down a grand total of about a half an inch. So, yeah. You see how this is dried out? You see these wet spots? That's the only places where it's naturally percolating through. So yeah, right there is about the only place that's still actually operating as a sieve. So she's a well and truly fucked. Yep. Well, let's see if it's at least nasty looking. I have some ideas of how to bring this old girl back around. It's not even black anymore. Oh, there's the black. So we'll see if any of them work. Alright, first thing we're going to try to see if we can open up this sieve a little bit is whether or not hauling this thing in the back of this pickup truck bed for the next 50 miles down rural back roads does anything to knock some of that crud loose. Or cave it in, or snap in half. One of the two, we'll see. Alright, she made it back, and was able to knock out about another 2 ounces of crud, but not much, so the ride home didn't do much. The first thing I'm going to try is just filling this entire thing up with white vinegar, as well as the entire outside. And the way I'm going to do that is by using this here piece of 4-inch cellular core sewer pipe that I've got, and I've got a cap glued in on the bottom, and that's because I use this for soaking a gun barrel in kerosene, and it holds kerosene mostly, so it should hold vinegar mostly. And yeah, it doesn't need to be fancy. And plan is just to take this bad boy and very delicately put it down in this tube. It's not going to be deep enough, but it should be tall enough that I can at least fill this tube up and fill up around it and see if it'll do something, because I don't need the entirety of this to be sucking water. I just need most of it, so I can give up on all of this up here. So I'm just going to go jam it in the corner where it's not going to get knocked over and get to it. And hey, this is future me, by the way. If you don't have a big old, like 5-foot piece of 4-inch sewer pipe, you can just go buy a piece of aluminum gutter. It's a little dicey using that because the aluminum can dissolve the vinegar can dissolve the aluminum, but you can line it in a trash bag and then do it. So you can just buy a 5-foot piece of gutter, get 2 ends, put a trash bag in it, lay this in it, fill it up with vinegar, and go to town. I would advise to get like 2 little small blocks, like 1/2-inch wooden blocks, and set it down in the bottom, resting on preferably this and the point. And then fill it with vinegar just so that the entirety of the screen is off of the trash bag or whatever you end up using. See how much it'll take. I think I'm just going to fill up the tube for now. Woo! Frothy. Took not even a half gallon. Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna pour some of it in here. Just because I want to live dangerously. There. Whew, that smells terrible. I hope vinegar doesn't dissolve PVC. I'd assume not. But anyway, we're going to let that sit for overnight, check it again, and then let it sit for a week or 7. Vinegar will dissolve steel if you let it go too long, so probably shouldn't let this sit for any more than a week. But we'll come back and check on it. If the level starts going down, then I'll pour in another gallon, and we'll just keep on trucking along. Alright, it's the next day. Let's see what the fuck has happened. I bet nothing. Ooh, sludgy. Well, it's doing something. Well, I see some wetness part way up. I'll get a stick and poke at that. But it's dissolving stuff, so that's a good-ish sign. Alright. Well, the level has not gone down. It's just got a bunch of bullshit on it. So, we'll just keep letting that marinate, I guess. Let me check. Is it leaked? We haven't leaked a drop, so I think I'm good to pour another gallon in. Although, I should probably save that. Yeah, I might pull that out, dump everything in there, pour it back out, pour it back in, and see how it goes. But we're going to let this sit as is for a week, I guess. Screw it. We're going to top it up, pour another gallon in. Just because I'm impatient. I know this tube will hold 2.5 gallons because it had it full of kerosene originally. So, yep, well, that's about perfect. So even if all of this up here leaks out, it should equalize below the top. Perfect. So we're going to let that sit for forever. And I'm not going to consider it done until the levels inside of each of these roughly even out. They're never going to perfectly even out because this thing relies on a pressure differential. But they get pretty close. And then probably what we're going to do is pull it out, wire wheel it, put it back into this vinegar bath after we strain all the bullshit out, or buy some more vinegar, cheaper vinegar from a cheaper store. And try and hook up some sort of pressure fitting up here and put about, I don't know, not 50 psi, 30 psi or something into this tube and try and force garbage out of here. We'll see. Well, it's the next night, and there's some sort of horrid red substance growing on top of it, and the level has gone down ever so slightly. And this looks thoroughly nasty, and my pokey stick is all rusty now. So we're just gonna stir it up a bit. And guess just jiggle this around and keep waiting. Alright, it's day 5 now, and it's gone down about probably 2 inches, so it's starting to work. That's good. I think to help speed things up, I'm going to pour all of this out into this here bucket, and then try and pour a lot of that back out, and then refill it, and just see if it starts, draining, and then fill it all back up. But I just want to pull it out, clean it off, try and get as much of the sediment out as I can, and then strain it and put the vinegar back in. Alright, got the weed eater out of the way. But, oh god, not the garage. Help, Jesus. Ooh. There we are. Got it into the bucket without spilling much in the way of vinegar. And let's see if that goes down at all while we wait. First things first, it looks better. It doesn't look crazy good, but definitely a lot less rust visible on the surface. Appears to be draining with some amount of speed. I think I'm gonna prop it up against something and let it sit for 5 minutes or so, and see if anything interesting happens. Anyway, I'm getting bored, so I'm just gonna pour this out and try not to spill it everywhere while I do this one-handed. So wish me luck. I guarantee I'm gonna spill it everywhere, though. Oh, this may not be that bad, actually. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty nasty. Grody. Delicious. That's how you know it's working. Ooh, because we couldn't get the water to do that. See, I haven't really looked down in here that much before, but that's pretty nasty. So we're going to try and pour some of that vinegar back into here, and try and keep most of the chunks out. Here's most of the sediment that came out. So progress is being made. That's maybe half an ounce of pretty significant chunks, and there's still a lot of crap inside of there that I just wasn't able to get out. So we're making progress, even if we are just sloughing off rust flakes at the moment. Eventually we'll get down to bare steel. That's what came out of the sand point. That's what came out of the tube, which is about 4 times as much. night and day. So that's just the rust that the vinegar was able to dissolve off the exterior over 5 days, and it's probably been in the 40s all day, or every day within those 5 days. So if it was a bit warmer, it'd probably be working a little bit better, but that's just what came out of it. That's what came off the outside of it, so we still got a long way to go as far as dissolving corrosion. Alright, so I filled it back up. I elected to just leave that stuff out for the time being. No reason to make things more complicated. And I filled it up to right about there, about 2.5, 3 inches down. And we're going to let that sit, and I have not put any fluid down in there. So anything you see in there is just what was residual. And we're going to let that sit for a while and just see how fast it drains through just with gravity. And use that flow rate as, I guess, kind of a basis for the amount of progress we're making. Because I think as long as the level in there stays above the sand point, as long as it stays like less than 6 inches in that tube, the amount of fluid in there has no effect on the flow rate through the sieve and out. So the faster this drains through, the better we know it's working. Alright, it's next morning, probably been about 12 hours, maybe a little bit more, or sorry, a little bit less. And if you look down in here, she is bone dry. Don't know quite how far down that goes. Let me get a look real quick. Looks to me like it's about halfway drained out, so about a quart went through there, although it does not look like that in the bottom of the tube. So that's good. That's definitely draining. It's not draining very fast, but it's definitely draining. It shouldn't be draining terribly fast, because you won't be able to, hold water in the water column if it drains too fast. But it is draining, so that's good. There may be life in this old girl yet. So I'm just going to fill her back up with vinegar, and I'm going to keep doing this until I run out of vinegar. Alright, so it's been about 11 hours, and as you can see, it's gone down maybe, how much is that? Maybe 6 inches. I had it filled all the way up to the lip. And I would ask you if you guys could hear this, but it literally started raining the second I walked into the garage. But let me see if this will show up. You can hear it in there, fizzing, sizzling. It's just making like a consistent like foaming noise from down in the vinegar. So it's doing something. So that's a good sign. This stuff is looking more and more like fetid urine every single day. So I've made a discovery. It seems that if I leave this thing overnight, the cooler temperatures must do something to the metal. It must cause it to contract, because it all drains out overnight. And then I let it sit for the exact same amount of time during the day, and nothing happens. So I mean, the temperature in here is only fluctuating maybe 20 degrees. It's like 40 something at night, and it's like maybe 60 in the garage, maybe only like 55 or 50. And that's just enough to be able to open these pores, because it is all the way down there overnight. It's been about 15 hours since I filled this, but I'll let the thing go for like 15 hours during the day, and it'll be down this far. So that's weird. So I'm gonna fill it up just till I run out of this bucket, and then I think we're going to do another one of these guys, flush it all out, put it on the wire wheel, and then maybe test her with water at that point, pressurized water, see if it's good, and then maybe add the rest of the new vinegar and just soak this entire thing, as much of it as I can soak. Well, she proved me wrong again. Been 12 hours this time through the day, and it's all drained through. So that's a good thing. We want to see that. I want to be proven wrong on that front. So I'm gonna fill it up again, and we'll see if it does it again this morning. Well, heck, I just went to move the vinegar out of the bucket into a bottle, and it hadn't even been 5 minutes, and it's already down probably a good 4 or 5 inches. So I think she's plenty free now. Damn, I'm gonna have to fast track this. Alright, it's the next morning, and hasn't really drained this time, but I filled it up most of the way, so I bet a lot of the draining's happening at the bottom. Well, I dumped all the rest of the nasty fetid piss in it. Next step is I'm going to try and pull this out, rinse it out, pressure wash it, wire wheel it, brake clean it, and then potentially put it back in the vinegar. But before I can pressurize it, I got to work out a fitting for the top of this, and grab the old tape measure. And with female pipes, what you want to do is measure the internal diameter, which is 1.5 inches, and then subtract 1/4 inch. So this is a 1 1/4 pipe. So what I need to find is a male 1 1/4 to male 3/4, or potentially a female 3/4. That's probably going to be the easier one to find, so that I can thread a piece of PVC into here, and then take a hose and thread that directly to the end of it, and then pressurize this with however much PSI comes out of a hose, 20, 30 PSI, whatever it is. And that's going to be the next step, and hopefully that doesn't end up being a rabbit hole trying to find fittings. But we'll see. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully I can just run by the hardware store and pick some up for $5 or less. Alrighty, so I picked up one of these bad boys from Lowe's. It's a 1 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch male to female thread adapter. And that just threads right on into the top of this guy right there. And I'll be able to thread the hose directly into the front of that, and see whether or not this thing leaks like a sieve or not, because it's supposed to. Alright, so got it out of the tube. It's looking a lot cleaner now. You're starting to see bare metal down there at the point. I really should have wire wheeled this before I put it in the vinegar, but I was just lazy and didn't. I saw some water literally spraying out of the side of this. Well, vinegar spraying out of the side of this when I pulled it out. So progress has been made. And that's some of the black slop that came out of there. I'm going to take this outside, fill it up with water and dump it out a couple of times, spray off the whole outside. Then I'm going to dry it off real quick, take it back inside. I'm going to wire wheel it over here on the bench grinder? Yeah, well, it says it right there, bench grinder. I blanked there for a second. Just to knock all the big clods off of it. We're going to take all of that nast, pour it into the big jug of nast, and then we're going to pour out all the fetid piss. Alrighty, well, after some wire wheeling and some hosing, and after I filled up the garage with a bunch of dust that I probably shouldn't be brothing, we got the sand point clean, and she is leaking like a colander, which is exactly what we want. And it looks like underneath all that rust and crud, the vinegar was doing its magic this whole time, so no need to worry. I'm still going to hook up that adapter and just show you how well this thing evacuates water. Hopefully, if that adapter does in fact fit my hose. I think it will. And yeah, wow, this turned around a lot better than I thought it would. One concern is that this down here and this up here is no longer galvanized in any way, shape, or form. In fact, anything that was in this that was galvanized is a far cry from it, because we're at the point where we're starting to eat steel. Still some rust on there, so it could go back in there, but doesn't really matter. At this point, what I would do is let the thing dry out, spray it with some penetrating oil, or I guess WD-40. WD-40 is water displacement 40, so it's perfect for this. Spray the whole thing down with WD-40, rub it all in, let it sit for a week or so, and then rub it down with some 3-in-1 oil or something like that. Pour a little in there, swish it around, just to keep this thing from rusting significantly. And then I can store it indefinitely. But I'm going to go hook it up to the hose and blow some water through it and let the magic happen. Alrighty, she's all hooked up to the hose. Let me go cut it on. It'd be nice if I had an inline valve I could have hooked up, but whatever. Contact. Oh yeah, there she goes. As you can see, it's still clogged a bit down at the bottom and at the top. That's to be expected. The top didn't have vinegar soaking in it. The bottom is full of a lot of sediment. Wow, that's got some pressure. I'm gonna go crank it up even further and see what it'll blow out, and get in there with a dowel or something and tap on it a little bit, see if I can free up some of the sediment. Full tilt. Look at that. Time to meet your maker. Well, that's not doing anything. I'm gonna get out of there before I get any more wet. Shut her down. Yep. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna work on it a little bit more. I'm gonna soak it in vinegar for a bit more probably. I may throw it in the back of the truck again this week just to give it some more vibration, try and shake a lot of that crap out. But she's pretty dang close. I need to stick her in the vinegar upside down in order for it to work on the top. And I think first what I might do is pour CLR in there, get it to this point right here, because it doesn't appear to be leaking anywhere below this, probably because there's a whole bunch of sediment jammed in it, because any sediment that got into the pipe would naturally settle there. So I think the vinegar just really hasn't had enough time to work into the pores. So I'm gonna try CLR a bit on that, or maybe just the regular vinegar. I don't know. Kind of don't want to waste the CLR. And yeah, I think that's good enough for y'all to be able to figure this out. So if you like this kind of trash, remember to like, go down there, comment about how I'm doing this wrong. All comments help me. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And if you want to see more of this garbage, you gotta subscribe, so go smash that button. And until next time, Tom out.